Well, hey there. It's Tuesday night here in Southern California. Hi, I'm Nick Newmont. Welcome to Mainstream Metaphysics here on the Newmont Consciousness Network, easy for me to say, in the studios of Conejo Valley Talk Radio. And with me, my guest tonight is Kim Thalken. Welcome.
Thank you. So good to be here.
It's good to have you back again. This is not your first time on the show, but first time here in the studio.
Yeah.
Well, we are sitting here on December the 12th. The calendar is moving along, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Holidays, we're in the thick of the holiday season, and lot of stuff to talk about with 2024 on the doorstep. I want to go back a couple weeks ago, and our friend Lisa Allen, astrologer, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, she sent a note that she has officially landed in Montana,
Yay,
where she's going to do that schooling. So,
yes.
Lisa, good luck to you on that. I know you're going to do very well, and you're going to come back with tales of your experiences.
So excited to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last week, I want to say thank you again to card reader and card inventor Rachel P. Collins. She's really sweet to have on the show and so endearing and such a lovely energy in person. And the fact that she has created her own set of cards. And by the way, the reading she gave me was extremely accurate. Really accurate. Oh, and by the way, always want to say behind the boards is Ed Hunt, who does a yeoman's job directing and producing the show. So always thank you to Ed. And next week on the show is Selena Culp, our resident Reiki master and doTERRA person at the Newmont Center, and we're going to be talking about the concept of giving. With next week, Christmas will be a week away, but also we're going to talk about, in the spirit of giving, are there last-minute gifts? Is there someone in your life that's hard to buy for? And she has some great doTERRA items, way more than bottles of oil now. Wow. In fact, I can't say anything in the event my family's watching, but there's some things, doTERRA things we got that will be under the Christmas tree.
And she's so knowledgeable on all of that stuff.
Right?
Yeah. If there's anything that you're you need help with or whatever, she knows exactly what to suggest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you got an issue, she's got an answer for it.
There you go.
So, and coming up in weeks to come, this is something that you're going to find very fascinating. So the Newmont Center is doing some work with the five of us that are there basically full-time. Audrey, myself, Selena, Dr. Michael McGuire, and Dr. Stephen Palmer. And believe it or not, we are working as a team on people that need to recover, that need to go into sobriety.
Okay.
And we are going to do a full panel in January on how we are helping people as a team, especially people that don't want to stay in a rehab, where they're uncomfortable. Really cool stuff that's going on that we're doing there. Now, some classes coming up. First of all, the class that I call Intentional Healing, which involves making those chakra plates that I use. That is coming up on Saturday, the January 13th. And then on Monday, January 9th, we start the 8-week meditation and channeling series. Wow. And even if you think you can't meditate, you come to that class because you will be meditating and channeling things that you never thought you could do. So, and more announcements will go out on that. Now, as we sit here today, the first thing is that this afternoon we have a new moon in Sagittarius. And with the other planets that are around that new moon, as the moon sits on the sun, especially as the moon is squared by Neptune, and all that Sagittarian energy, people need to be very careful today about how and where they fire the arrow. Okay? The archer needs to hold on to the bow and arrow a little bit because, Sagittarius is a fire sign, and, a little too much spontaneity can set things on fire. And the reason I'm emphasizing being careful is because at the same time as we sit here today at 11:09 p.m. tonight, okay, a few hours from now, Mercury stations retrograde. Oh boy.
Fun.
So we get right. So we have a new moon in Sagittarius with some strange alignments along with it, and Mercury goes retrograde. And I've got to tell you, there is a 3-week shadow period of Mercury retrograde, and we've all been feeling and recognizing snafus and electronics and stuff like that. Have you had stuff?
Yes. I mean, I find that every time we go through that period, it's like it's evident that we're in this period now.
Well, I don't know about you. I don't remember your chart. I'm born with Mercury in retrograde. So
Okay.
I actually do okay. I don't tempt fate, but, you know, I still kind of navigate it. But we had something strange happen with a person the other day that we don't even know thought they had an appointment on our place. It was bizarre. I'm going to tell you the whole story off camera. It was crazy. So people are really... What sign are you?
Gemini.
So you're ruled by Mercury.
Am I ruled by Mercury?
Yes. Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury.
What does that mean, Nick?
It means that when Mercury goes retrograde, things for you, because Gemini rules the 3rd house, which is communication, you have to be careful what you say because it's hard to retract statements that you regret you've said.
Okay, so I'll be extra careful tonight.
Right. Oh, here just say whatever. Yeah, it's only being broadcast all over the place.
Right.
No, what I joke about, especially with Geminis and Mercury retrograde, is that you think that you're safe whispering something about someone in the women's restroom, but the voices go up in the air ducts and they go out to the conference room. They're going, "Did you hear what Kim Thalken said about you?"
That's why you always have to keep things on the up and up.
Then
you have nothing to worry about.
That's right.
There
That's
you go.
Right. Well, I was talking with Selena today about, and she's a Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, about a client that she and I share. And it's amazing how that when you're trying to get people into truth, how much untruth has to be revealed.
Oh, of course. Of
you know,
course.
and how much can hit the fan.
Of course.
In that regard.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, one quick thing about Mercury retrograde, it is retrograde until January the 1st. Okay? And that's at 7:08 p.m. So be careful with your New Year's Eve plans, because when Mercury is about to change direction, people can change their mind.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or reservations that you thought you had got lost during the Mercury retrograde.
This is the first New Year's that I have reservations someplace. So now you got me worried, Nick.
Well, let's see after it's all said and done if you have reservations about having made reservations.
There you go, right? Oh my gosh.
Just double and triple check.
There.
That's all I would do. Anyway, and then of course on December 30th, I'm going to save a lot of this for another show. Jupiter, which has been retrograde since, I believe, August, finally goes direct on December the 30th at 6:40 p.m., which means anything that has been stalled, if you're trying to expand something or grow something, Jupiter kind of restricts it when it's retrograde.
Okay.
Or the funny thing is that people, when Jupiter is retrograde, because Jupiter is money, growth, expansion, but it's also optimism. And the thing that I've found is that people get over-optimistic during Jupiter retrograde, and it's retrograde during the holiday buying season. Let's see when people get into January if they go, "Oh my God, I spent that."
Oh boy. All right. That's a good thing to be mindful of then. So
Right.
then does that mean, so we've got December 30th, Jupiter goes direct,
Yes.
and then January 1st?
Mercury goes direct.
That's a lot in a short amount of time.
Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
All right. So things will like be full force ahead come January 1st?
not quite. And the reason is, then I'm glad you asked that, because the only other planet that's still retrograde is Uranus, and that goes direct on January 27th. However, this is what I'm about to say is really good, that we will go from January 27th into mid-April, and all planets are direct. And when all planets are direct, pedal to the metal, full speed ahead. You go.
In
okay?
April.
From January 27th to mid-April.
To mid-April.
All the planets are direct.
Oh,
There's
my.
no retrogrades.
Watch out.
You just pin your ears back and go.
That's awesome. Okay. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good.
So since we're talking about 24, you and I have something interesting in common. And I love when I have guests on where there's so much, where we really understand each other. You are a psychic, like I am. You are a channel, like I am. Not that you're being compared to me. You're a hypnotherapist, too. So, and you do energy work.
Yes.
You know, so you and I overlap a lot of our modalities, which is really cool. But for now, because there's a couple directions we're going to take this tonight.
Okay.
That first of all, let's talk about 2024 from a psychic perspective. Not numerology, not astrology. We talked about that on the last couple shows. You know, what are you seeing in 2024? Your eyes just like bing.
Well, I went old school tonight, Nick, and I've got all this here.
Notes, good.
Notes. Well, you know, so here's the thing. So I did do some channeling work with Archangel Gabriel, and I get a specific kind of message and guidance given my purpose and mission here on Earth, which is to be a guardian of New Earth, to be an usher, to help usher in the New Earth. So that is the guidance that comes through in that context. So keep that in mind as I go through some of the information that has come through. It's more higher level. It'll show us like what things are going to present, how it is we might be feeling, and how it is to navigate these times. And it'll also show us, it'll help connect the dots for us so that we can see where it is it's leading us. So they're not going to necessarily give me things like, a terrorist attack in the third quarter of because they're all about redirecting our focus and attention to creating the new earth so that we can experience, heaven on earth, okay? But they did talk about some of that stuff. They covered war and things like that too.
Oh, fascinating.
So we can talk a little bit about that. Sure. But basically, there's going to be a lot going on next year, and it might feel a bit chaotic. It probably will. But the main themes are an abundance. Oh, that's interesting because next year is an 8-year too.
Yes, it is.
I just said an abundance of opportunities and also self-mastery. So just give me a moment here. I'm going to put on my glasses and just kind of go through some of the notes here.
I know that feeling. Glasses.
All right.
Hi, Audrey. She's watching.
Oh, hi, Audrey.
From up in Lake Kachuma.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's exciting. All right, so every year they talk about, this, every year being a year of choice points, okay? That'll present in different ways. But every year the stakes get a little higher because of the trajectory it is we're on, where Earth is and where humanity is. So when I say get a little higher, I mean, if we are making choices that are in alignment, then we see the benefits of that much faster. If we make choices that are out of alignment, then we feel the repercussions of that much faster.
Let me ask you a question for viewers.
Sure.
I understand what you're saying, but describe that a little bit better, making choices that are in alignment versus making choices that are out of alignment.
Yeah, sure. So choices that, okay. So they're saying be very intentional. Be intentional with everything it is that you are doing, right? And your intentions should come from in here, your purest, highest desires. All right. So when we're making choices that are in alignment with that, the intentions being the foundational piece, the barometer of what you use to make your choices, then you're in alignment. When you start making choices that are, go against that, then you're out of alignment, or against the path that is that your soul is on.
Sure.
Basically, it's all soul driven, which is what makes the work that I do in particular important is because
Right.
I work with the soul, and the soul is the key foundational piece to the work it is that I do, because when we connect to the soul will tell us all it is we need to know, where it is we're heading, where it is we've been, where it is we are now.
Right.
So we want to be living our lives. That's what ascension is all about, is we move from here down into here, and we start living from this place. So that's what I mean.
Kim, when
Yeah.
someone calls and wants to make an appointment with you, and say they came from a good referral,
Yeah.
Do you determine what kind of session they need? Because sometimes people will say, "Yeah, I want a reading," okay, which is understandable. But do you ever kind of tune into them and say, "Well, I could see where you might want that, but I think this would be better"? Because you do so many different modalities.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I do have an automatic, a calendar that people can just go sign up for whatever session it is that they are feeling called for. But then if they do call me first and we have kind of an exploratory call, then yes, I'll listen to where they are now, what's going on with them, what motivated them to place the call, and then we talk about what would be the most supportive next step for them.
Okay.
A lot of times it starts off with a reading or an intuitive, session, because that then kind of guides the way. We get to the kind of the root of what's going on. Not that you can't do that in hypnosis and stuff, but I kind of like to just talk directly to the soul. I like to connect in and say, okay, what's happening here? Why is this happening? What, and then it kind of guides us to what might be important next steps. And then we can take it from there. Yeah. So, okay.
All right.
All right. So heading back into 2024. Okay. So they're saying, to be incredibly intentional, be clear on what your intentions are. Okay. And then that's where it is we place our attention. Now, it's not always easy to do that, because, that's when our self-mastery skills come into play. And it takes a lot of self-mastery skills to really stay on point and then redirect yourself back on point again, right? Because the mind will take us all over the place if we allow it to.
Surely.
And if we are not conscious of what's going on in our environment, we can get sucked into different realities too. And we'll be talking about that as well. So every year, so every year they're saying it becomes really clear that we're living in on a multidimensional earth as multidimensional beings. So, what does that mean? Well, when we're living in a third density reality, everything's very limited. Very limited. It's confined into, what we can experience is very limited. When you're multidimensional, you're going to get everything. You're going to get access to the lower realms and the higher realms. And there are realities in all of them, the in-between, the higher, the lower, all of that. So what they are saying is that next year, you may feel like there's a scattering of energy because of that. So, if you just imagine let's say a glass vase, that's the third density reality that we've been living in, right? Because we did a lot of dismantling this year. We can see a lot of the systems, being illuminated for us to see where everything is unconscious and coming down in many ways. It would be like dropping that glass vase and all those pieces of glass just scattering and shattering in front of you. So all those shards of glass would be like a different timeline, different energy, and a different trajectory. So, and you can see, if you've got shards of glass everywhere, you've got all those choices to choose from, right? And some of them are more sparkly than others, and they can grab you in and pull your attention. So if you're not clear with what your intentions are, then you might find yourself in a reality that is not to your liking. Okay, so that's why they were saying be very intentional. Now, Also, so the question becomes then, we're going to be bombarded with choices, so that the guidance is asked, well, what's your choice going to be? Well, if you know what your intentions are, then you know what your choices are going to be. And it helps you come back to that place of realignment when we need it too, right? So, yeah, go ahead.
That was very fascinating, the way you just put that. If you know what your intentions are, then you know what would you say? Do you know?
Then you know what your choices ought to be.
Right.
Ought to be is the key.
You know, I remember years ago, many, many years ago, in first dealing with Merlin, he had this thing that he used to say a lot. Well, if you have the knowledge to ask the question, then you know the answer. And that's very reflective of what you were just saying there. I like that.
Yes. So you know, it'll put you in a much more empowered place, you know, empowered. But then you got to remember what those intentions are and live from that place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, you know, when we're going after what we want, and of course we have to set intention, we do have to know what we don't want to, okay? And so we intend, you know, that we're not creating that. But sometimes, and I know with my clients that I see on a regular basis for therapy, sometimes that resistance kicks in and they become like little kids. And it's just like, I mean, I'm kids, and it's like, well, I'm hungry. Well, because people want something. Well, do you want a hamburger? No. Do you want pizza? No. You know, do you want a hot dog? No. Well, it's like the universe comes back to us and says, okay, you don't want these things that we're offering. When you figure it out, come and tell us, and then we'll help you get that.
Yes. And the other important thing, too, is to have be fluid. Be fluid, because everything's happening so quickly that as we elevate, you know, our desires might shift and change too, and new things might come up and present. And it's okay to shift our intentions along the way and be open to that, because you know, we might be setting our intention from a more limited place than we realize, and then all of a sudden we open ourselves up, and it's like, wow, when we elevate, we have access to more information, more opportunities.
Sure.
So, you know, be open to be flexible, right? Be flexible in how you're navigating your life also.
Don't you think a lot of times when people interpret something not working out, that they're being told no, but sometimes the universe, in working with timing, is just saying, not now?
Oh, absolutely. Like, you know, we've been told, you know, going from point A to point B in a straight line is the fastest way to get there, right?
Sure.
And maybe, I don't know, mathematically that's true, but it may not be when we talk about, you know, quantum and metaphysics and stuff, because we might think that that's the fastest way, but the universe might take us over here, what feels like a detour, because there's some important learning over here that's going to get you to your desired outcome faster than if you, you know, worked against the grain trying to go in that straight line and think that that's the only way to go.
Sure.
So, because there's important things, like every time we feel like there's a delay or everything is so purposeful. You know, there's things to be learned and to be experienced, and that we're going to carry with us, you know, on our journey, that's actually going to support us. You know, we need that little detour.
Sure.
Yeah. So, So anyways, so let's see, moving on here. Okay. So the guidance is saying that if you know what your intentions are, right, then the song came to me, and I think this is a Jefferson Airplane Starship, I don't know, one of those songs, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now.
Yeah.
That song, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now.
Yeah, that's when they were Starship.
Yes. Okay, there you go. And that started playing, and it's like, when that's why they're saying, you know, be intentional. When you're intentional, it doesn't matter what that outward world is going through. It's not going to matter, because nothing's going to stop you, because your intentions, your energy, your mindset, your focus, all of it is going to be directed in the right places. Okay, so, so anyways, so just to also be aware that as dismantling continues to happen and the outside world continues to unravel, well, that means that our inside world is going to unravel too. And that's just a part of that process. That's a part of that process. And so that, you and I were talking earlier, Nick, about like what's going to be really challenging for people, what's going to create some suffering. That can create suffering. It's an awakening of sorts.
Sure.
It's an awakening of sorts. When we feel like our world is crashing down, that's a part of awakening. And that can make you feel like, out of sorts and unsure and all those kinds of things.
Well, as we've moved into the Aquarian age, I think that a lot of people kind of misinterpreted, like we were going to just go into this kumbaya.
Oh, no, not a chance. No, because it's impossible, because our outside world is a reflection of our inside world, right? We create from the inside out. And we have all that unconsciousness inside. That's why the world is the way it is.
Right.
And so when we clear up the unconsciousness within ourselves, then we project that out into our creation, and the world reflects that back to us. That's why I've heard it said, higher consciousness is what saves the world and the planet. And it is.
Right.
If
That's
everybody was living from that place, we wouldn't have the things it is that we're having now that cause, the unpleasantries and the difficulties and the ugliness sometimes of the third density world.
Well, we're in a moment of uncertainty and things like that, and as I've said the last couple of years, the truth is we don't know exactly what the truth is. And so there's people who are going to seek truth and ascend into the higher consciousness, that 5D consciousness, but then there's people that are afraid of that truth, and they are going to linger in that three-dimensional consciousness. Mm-hmm. And this is over here is where you're going to have fear and untruth, which basically throttles people. It just keeps them there. It paralyzes them.
Yeah.
And so because of the extremes of the truth, untruth, that's why in the world right now you see so much polarization, where it's just like this, and there's that opposition that's in there.
Yes, exactly. And it's not everybody's part of their path and journey to ascend into higher realms.
Oh, sure.
And it's, because there's something in it for them to experience in the lower realities.
Right.
That's going to actually support their own evolution and stuff, But
well, and the truth is too, there's millions of people on the planet that don't seek out anything close to what you and I do, or people like us, and to them they get along just fine going along in the world.
Right. Going along, right. And it's like you don't know what you don't know. And
so true.
Right. And here's the thing about truth is like truth in one frequency is different than truth in another frequency. So what may be true in one reality isn't true in another.
Right.
And every time I think I know what the truth is, I'm shown something different, broader.
Right.
Well, it's fascinating.
It is fascinating, and we are learning at a very high rate. There's a lot that's coming at us. There's a lot that is running through our consciousness that may linger there for a nanosecond, and we may or may not upload that. So there's so much going on, and it's challenging to navigate it. But earlier you were talking about this sort of multidimensionalism.
Yeah.
And that's challenging for the human brain because we only use 1/6 of our brain. But multidimensionalism translates as having multiple awarenesses simultaneously. And now there are very advanced beings out there that, like we talk about having, we refer to past lives, but they're concurrent existences.
Right.
But there are beings that have an aware of their coexistences simultaneously. So in other words, imagine as you're sitting here now, that you had the ability to know that you exist in 1613 Russia and at 450 BC Egypt, and having that ability.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I will comment on that. I've actually seen myself in other timelines playing out at the same, in as I'm sitting here in this space in the now, I've actually seen in my mind's eye, oh my gosh, there I am with this person playing this whole scenario out. I've seen that. And we have access to that because we're multidimensional beings and because of the multidimensionality that is now here on Earth because of Gaia's ascension. So yeah, you can see. It was amazing. I was sitting there just sitting and thinking about something, and then in my third eye, in my vision, I was like, oh wow, there I am with so-and-so playing this whole thing out in another reality.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that kind of experience is available to us now.
Sure, it is.
With an awareness. Yeah.
There's a story. I don't even know if I've ever told this story, and it's very quick on the air. So some years ago, when I was doing energy work on someone, I saw a spirit come in to assist, and I looked over, and it was me in a past life, and that person's name, okay? And it's like, and it was like, oh, there's so-and-so. And then as I'm working, like the ego came in for a moment. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's me also. And it was like,
wow.
Head on a swivel.
Yeah. Right.
I don't mean ego like, oh, that's me. It was like, wait a minute, I had this recognition of the dual selves.
Yes.
It's like,
yes, that was an aspect of you.
And then after it's all done, go back and sit at my desk going, even for me, that was freaky.
Right. Right. Yeah, this kind of stuff will kind of throw us for a loop.
Right.
In all of its magnificence.
Right. Oh,
because it is now, right? Now when you think about it, you're like, wow, that was amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and keeping in mind that we are human.
We are human.
We are human.
We are
human.
Go
ahead. Your stuff is great. I really enjoy.
Well, I just have a few more key points,
Okay.
Right. So let's see what's next here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So anytime we're ascending, right, our value systems are going to change. So, and I know you've covered this before, Nick, but next year we're heading into an 8-year, right?
Yeah, right.
Which touches on the balance between the material and the spiritual worlds, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So, our old model was, the human side of us places all kinds of value on the material world, right? How much is in our bank account, how many assets we have, all that kind of stuff. Well, I think we're all feeling kind of what's going on now financially, right? As prices continue to rise and inflation hits, and we're weathering through all of that now. And so, many people aren't, they're scaling back because of that, right? Well, I think it's probably fair to say a lot of people will be scaling back. So what happens when we scale back? Like when the universe, this is what I find so fascinating, is the universe will appear to take something away from us so that we can see it from a different perspective. So if we're feeling like we have to scale back, right, because of kind of the financial markets and what's happening and stuff, the costs are rising and all that stuff, then we are encouraged to look at where it is we do place value. So our values starts to change. And what I was getting for next year is that, whereas in the past we might have felt abundant by how much money we have, etc., we're going to start to feel abundant by things like connection. Connecting with other people. That's going to make us feel, having community around us, that's going to make us feel abundant. So we get to experience abundance in a different way. And a lot of times, we'll have things taken away from us so that it stops us in our tracks so that we can see, broaden our scope and our understanding and perspective of things. and everything kind of realigns to a higher place within us, because our soul would never place the highest value on the amount of money in our bank account, but it would connect and communing with other souls on this planet. So everything's going to be kind of realigning based on some of these energies. So and also what happens here, so then what happens is then we start to because that's where what we're valuing is, we start to come together in community and unity, which then brings in a unity consciousness. Okay, so that's how we get led to a more unified field of unity consciousness. So it's really magnificent when we see, and this is what I was saying, is the guidance shows us it connects the dots on how that leads us to the highest trajectories and where humanity is slated to go. So anyway, so they're saying, like, with all this, like, the chaotic energies, just be mindful. It's going to feel chaotic, especially if you don't hold the awareness and mindfulness and daily practices that ground you and center you. Then things are going to feel very chaotic. And they ask, like, do you want to be an observer in that chaos, observing from a place of love and compassion? Or do you want to be a participant in that, getting caught up in the vortex of chaos and brought down because of it? So it does require, again, some awareness and self-mastery tools and focus. Yeah, I'd say in focus. And then just, finally. Okay, so they're saying that, we need to be uncomfortable. We need to have these uncomfortable times to leave us desiring more, right? Desiring change, because otherwise we will hold on to the old.
Right.
We will hold on to the old, resist the new. But it's these uncomfortable times that just, like, kind of wear us out and go, okay, I am done. Like, I can't hang on anymore. And it leaves us desiring something different. Well, when we desire something different, then we start to create something new.
Sure.
So they were saying that the key theme for next year is to be bold. Be bold, to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, and really follow what it is you are desiring, because that is how we create the new. So all of the energies are going to be supporting that. We're going to be bombarded with opportunities and inspiration. Like, next year, there's going to be a lot of inspiration coming onto this earth plane through the light codes and the key codes that are coming in now.
Sure.
And that's in place to get us to, to create something new. So you see how everything kind of is intertwined and it's working together. But if that opportunity is there and you're not being bold and you're not taking those risks, then you're going to be doing yourself a disservice and all of humanity.
Right.
So they're just really encouraging, that was the thing, be bold, take risks, because when you do, you're going to be supported, and you're going to see how you're going to be supported.
Right. It's well said.
Yeah.
Very good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Like, we can go into the next year feeling fully equipped with what we need.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think it is 2024 is a year where we do want to really get ready to move forward.
Oh, yeah.
When we come out of 23, which is a 7-year, meaning people are up in their heads a lot, there's a lot of contemplation, and when people get up in their heads, it's not always a good thing. Now, when we come out of a 7-year, the idea is to be planning so that when we go into an 8-year, the plan goes into action. So if people spent this past year kind of like, I don't know, and they're not intentional, then what's going to happen in 2024, then they're going to be playing catch up with everybody else.
Yeah.
But where we've said, this is what we've intended, this is what we're doing, then 8 next year will be even better than 23 was.
There you go. Absolutely.
And 8 is a power year.
I love it. Bring it on.
And if you turn the 8 the 8 that looks like a snowman, you turn it like this, it looks like big wheels.
There you go. Powering forward, right? I love that.
So as we get to this time of year, and I really mean from like Thanksgiving into New Year, it used to be, and I definitely want to hear your opinion on this, it used to be that therapeutic processes with clients would slow down. People don't want to deal, people are going away, and over the last couple years, we have no slowdown at our center in terms of attendance. I actually this year I'm actually shutting the center down for 4 days in December. It's like, okay, everybody take a break.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, at this time of year, holidays can bring the best and the worst out in people. But we do know that people are struggling with certain things. So as we go into now and then into the new year, what kind of focus do you have with your clients individually? Because what you just read and went over thematically for the next year is awesome. But when are your clients struggling? What's going on with some of your people?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, Nick, I'm actually excited to say that I'm having clients come to me that are wanting to create change, that are wanting to create shifts in their life. Whether it's whether it's moving through certain fears, addiction, let's say, things like that, and they're wanting to do that. So I feel that because of the energy that maybe I emanate, the basis of the work it is that I do, because that's what my work is all about. I mean, as an intuitive channel, I'm channeling higher levels of wisdom to support people navigating their lives from their highest place. So when they do that, they're going to be calling forth their highest realities. And the guidance that comes through is there to uplift, to inspire, definitely to empower, because we are moving out of a disempowered state from the lower realms into an empowered state. So it's going to be about empowerment. It's going to be about showing you what is possible. And so that my clients can live from, a future it is that they are envisioning for themselves. Instead of repeating the familiar past. And then they start to feel more a sense of enthusiasm for life itself and what is possible and what it is they're going to create, which is a much more empowered state of being than I live my life as it happens to me. That's the old model, the old paradigm. So I feel like because that's the basis of the work I do, that's the clients it is that I attract to.
Right.
And so that's what I'm seeing. And they're starting this in the new year. I mean, in this year, as you said, which is wonderful for them. So that's what they're leading into the new year with. And I find that to be very exciting in my work. And another thing too, Nick, is that when you combine, because I'm an intuitive channel, energy healer, and hypnotherapist, as you said. And by the way, I also create content on YouTube. So come check me out at Kimberly Thalken. The content is about spiritual and personal development. It's there to support you on your journey. But
well, since you said that, for people watching, tell them how they can get in contact with you if they would like a private session with you. Sure.
So the best way to do it is just KimberlyThalken.com, KimberlyThalken. There you go, KimberlyThalken.com, and you can see a little bit more about the work I do, and you can book a session directly. Although next year I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be offering. Oh, you know what I'm really excited about, Nick?
Yes.
When you talked about addiction and stuff, I am so excited because I put together a 5-week program on smoking cessation, and it is going to. I'm so excited because I'm passionate about this, because I've had, my parents used to smoke when I was growing up. And I remember as a child how terrified that would make me feel. But it's kind of like the thing that people did back. They didn't even think about that, right? They just did. But fortunately, they stopped because they saw how it was affecting me. But I understand how that it can affect the loved ones around us, how it can affect our lives when we're not living from a place of freedom. When that addiction has a grip on us. So I am so excited. It's going to involve coaching. It's going to involve energy work, hypnosis, meditation, all of those things combined, so that it goes beyond just, there's going to be a lot of deep, beautiful work that's done so that it really sets you up for success. And I am going to be right there by your side as your personal coach. I'm committed to that. If you are committed, I'm committed. So that package is going to be launching in January. And I'm very excited about that. But what people don't realize is that we have the most profound set of internal resources right here, from our subconscious mind to our conscious mind. And when you get those two working together, let me tell you, it is very, very effective. When you're working with your energy field, it is very, very effective. And then also the intuition, the intuitive coaching, all of those things are very, very effective, and it improves people's lives. And so we've got the soul, right? Our higher self has achieved all it is already achieved all it is we desire. That is an aspect of us. So when we work with that aspect of us, when we work with the mind, when we work with the energy field, when we work with the heart, that is the center of creation. But people don't realize that. All of that stuff is right in here. It's not in somebody else's program or, somebody else's session. Nope, it's all right here. So the work it is that I do will connect you to those aspects of you, show you how to work with those aspects of you, show you the power of that so that you can see the results it is that you are deserving of.
That's well put, and there's a lot of intention that you have behind that, so I can see how you pass that intention onto your clients.
Oh, yes.
So from one hypnotherapist to another, so how do you deal with this? Because I have faced this.
Okay.
So people do call me and ask if I work with smoking cessation, and of course I do. Mm-hmm. So, but sometimes people call and say, I want to work on to stop smoking, and then I will ask, why do you want to stop smoking? And the response will be, well, my doctor's given me a really hard time about it because he's concerned about X, Y, and Z. My wife says it's stinking up the house. The kids are mad at me. And I say, fine. Mm-hmm. But why do you want to stop smoking?
Right.
And the response that I will get is, well, I don't want to stop, but I need to. And what I tell them at that point is, I want you to stop and think about it. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't want to stop, then your conscious mind is not going to cave into me.
Right.
So
exactly.
And I've had people say, okay, fine, when I'm ready, I'll come back. Then I've had people go, no, I can do it. And guess what? They didn't. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because they weren't ready to quit. They didn't really want to quit.
That's right.
And Audrey's watching, and Audrey knows this one client about 4 months ago. She knows who I'm talking about. And this individual had a big ego and like, oh, I can do this. And he didn't smoke over 3 sessions, didn't smoke one less cigarette because he didn't intend on it.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to fool yourself.
Right.
Right. Your desire has to come from you. And if it's not there, then there's something in that experience. There's more to be experienced around that. Oh, and maybe it is to have aspects of your health taken away.
Could be.
Just like I said before, the universe will stop us in our tracks when it's time, in different ways. in different ways.
Back in the early 20th century, there was a man who wrote a palmistry book, and he went by the pen name Chiro, Cheiro, but he was a Frenchman named Count Louis Hamon. And it's one of the best palmistry books ever written. And the lines do move. The lines in your hand are not static.
That's fascinating, yeah.
But he said in this book, and it's really fabulous, he said that human nature, and you were talking about human nature earlier,
Yeah.
Homeostasis, people like to stay where they are. And Cairo said that even when people are told that they could have an impending problem if they don't make adjustments, that the tendency is to continue forward with the ill behavior, and they will actually, face whatever that malady is. So there is, you're absolutely right, there is this component to human nature where, it's like, I guess I'll deal with it when I get there. I mean, just like when I'm describing energy work and the aura to a brand new client that's having that kind of work. I mean, it's like there is a part of human nature that's so experiential that even in a fabulous restaurant, the server says, "Be careful, miss, it's very hot." How many people will still touch that plate?
That's true. I'm laughing because I think I've probably done that myself.
Well, we are experiential beings.
Yeah.
Merlin puts it like this. He said, there is a component to you humans where you will find out how bad it can be. That's what he said about us.
Oh, right. Absolutely. That's because that's what motivates change. Right? That's what it has to, things have to become uncomfortable enough for us to desire more. Right? So just like with your client who was smoking and wasn't ready to stop, things have to become a little more uncomfortable for them, for that person. And maybe, maybe it won't. Maybe they'll just continue on as they are, and that's how it'll be. And that's okay. I mean, we do have to honor everybody's journey and path because it's all been divinely orchestrated.
But when it comes to health, and in the days when I still had a Western medicine doctor, he was an older Russian man, and he said this so well, that the patient is the best physician. You know your body better than anybody does.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes if a person say they smoke, they don't feel bad, but that doesn't mean that they're not getting hardening of the arteries or anything like that. But it doesn't mean that they are either. Okay? I mean, there are those people out there that can eat like a garbage can and go, how do you do that?
And my grandfather is one of them. He's 98. All he drinks is Pepsi. All he eats is sweets. He buys cakes and cookies, and he is not on one medication at 98.
Well, you know what that is, and Audrey would say this. He really believes, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
That he really believes that he can put that in his system, and his system's going to process that out, and he's not going to have a problem.
Right. So that's the power of the mind, too.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeez. I want to ask you a question that I have been asking my guests who are psychic in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And I asked Rachel this last week and Lisa Allen the week before because it gets asked of me.
Okay.
Can you read for yourself?
Oh, right. Oh, that's an awesome question. Yes, I can.
By what means?
What do you mean? Like, I will sit in, you know what I've been doing, Nick? And it's been wonderful. I've been working in my Akashic records.
Oh, neat. Yes.
And I get so much from my Akashic records. Now, sometimes if there's a lot of emotion attached to something, then I don't always get the answer like right away, just plainly laid out for me, nice and easy. No, because we have to move through the experience, but that's what allows us to follow our to strengthen that connection with our intuition, right? So we need those exercises and experiences that get us to believe in our intuition more, strengthen our intuition more, follow what it is we're given, right?
Right.
And sometimes we need to go through those challenges too, because there's some kind of learning in that for us. So our universe is never just going on a beautiful, silver platter, just hand us everything. But yes, I get a lot of beautiful information for myself that assists me with navigating through challenges at times. And I'll talk directly to the person sometimes who I'm having that challenge with, and that person will share with me what's going on with them that allows me to better understand, so that when I'm engaging with them, I can do it from a more effective, productive, conscious place. So that's why I'm going back to the soul being a very key component to the work it is that I do, because the soul shares a lot.
Yes,
whether it's
truly.
somebody else's, and I'm not doing anything out of integrity, because the soul knows what it'll share and what it won't share, what's aligned and what's not aligned to share. And I'm not trying to go behind anyone's back, but mainly from a higher place, assist me in understanding with what's going on with you. That way I can be more supportive, or that way we can come together in a more conscious place, and with this level of understanding, maybe I'm leading the way in that, But yes, I can read for myself, and I'm thankful to be able to say that my guidance gives me beautiful information, beautiful. But again, it's not always instant. It might little droplets of nuggets over time. Sometimes I get it all in one swoop, but it depends on what's important for me to experience at that time too.
One of the things that, and I know this to be true for you, and then I've been experiencing this, is the more that we accelerate into fifth dimensional consciousness, it's like being in an airplane where there's clouds through the clouds and you're above them, and that clarity that's there.
Yeah.
And I've noticed with myself that my clairvoyance has really gone to a different level.
Beautiful.
All right. Yeah, thank you. But I know that you're like that too, that you're growing and ascending and you're gaining more clarity. And that means that we're not allowing for the third dimensional clutter to infiltrate. There's sort of above it so you can see what you need to see. Having said that, there's a running joke in my family, and we never really get into our families. We haven't really talked about your family in another show. This is where being a psychic is an occupational hazard at times. Okay. So just recently, someone was asking me about, dealing with family and things like that, and I joked that, and in fact, it was the day of the event that you were at the other day where we were all together.
Right.
And I said that, look, I said, I think my family, I've said, what do you think I am, a mind reader? Well, I am. But it's always about someone losing something, and then can you help me find whatever that is?
Okay.
And that happened, today's Tuesday, yesterday, all right? And it was my lovely wife who misplaced something. And so I was on my way home because she was leaving yesterday.
Okay.
So I wanted to see her before she left.
Right.
And she said, what this item was. And a lot of LOLs coming up. And so I locked in, and of course I'm driving the car while I'm locking in, which is not the best thing to do. It's not good to channel when you're driving. And I pulled into the driveway and walked right to the spot, and it was outside. And I was like, there it is.
Whoa, okay.
And found it without even, I asked her on the phone, do you remember this or this and this? She answered a few questions. And I just traced. I went into like running her day in reverse, okay? And I went right to where it was.
Interesting. See, I'm not good at finding lost objects. I really haven't been tested in that way much, but yeah, I don't think I'm good at that. Like, I don't think that's where my strengths are. I think I maybe had somebody ask me, I don't know, I'm not getting anything.
So when I do energy work, and Audrey wrote, and with a smug look, he gave it to me. You betcha. It was important that that was found, by the way. But, we are at 7 o'clock. We're going to have to close in a second. I think we're going to continue this because the finding stuff, this is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
And I use this archangel in my work, and you channeled Gabriel. But the archangel Raziel, R-A-Z-I-E-L, helps you when you need to find lost objects. Please remember that. Or call me. And if you have questions about tonight's show, you can call me at 818-865-8770. How do you want people to get a hold of you, Kim?
Best through my website, KimberlyThalken.com. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on.
gosh,
Really appreciate
Nick.
you, and you are absolutely lovely.
Thank you so much. I love being here, and I tell you, the time just goes by way too
I know.
fast.
I know.
Way too fast.
The hour, as Audrey was saying, I've been looking everywhere. So I guess I am a mind reader. I guess I do that stuff, and I'm happy to be able to do it because if I can't help my family, and help everybody else.
There you go.
What good am I? Anyway, this has been Kim Thalken. I'm Nick Newmont. You've been watching Mainstream Metaphysics at the Newmont Consciousness Network in the studios of Conejo Valley Talk Radio. Please tune in next week. Selena Culp will be joining me. We'll be talking about the essence of gift giving. Thanks so much, everyone. And remember,
Thank you.
please take care of yourself. Take care of each other.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.
Bye for now, everyone.